Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivamy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week, it is the original film adaptation of the 60s television series. It's 1996's Mission Impossible is what we're going to be talking about this
Whoa,
week.
isn't it 95 or is it 96?
No, 96.
96,
according to IMDb.
Sorry, no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of other things.
According to my sources.
It
makes it sound fancier than me just being like, I have the IMDb open. If I'm like, according to my sources, it's 1996.
I'll believe you. I'll take 1996. But yeah, our mission, we have chosen to accept it, is to cover Mission Impossible. It's one, but it's not one. It was just called Mission Impossible.
It was just called Mission Impossible. I do really like what they did with the poster of this in retrospect, where they've changed it into like MI, but it's that font where an I kind of looks like a 1.
Yeah, which is usually annoying because you're like, is this an I or a 1 if it's a font? And you're like, I'm trying to put a password in or something. But on a poster for a first movie.
It's a revisionist history of the movie that actually kind of really works. To be like, is it M1 or MI? And it's like, don't worry about it. The font's a little ambiguous. It kind of works both ways.
It does. It is necessary because there have been so many missions that were impossible at this point, but they've really succeeded in a lot of missions that were impossible.
They've done a lot.
Mission Possible.
They've done a lot over the years, and we're going to be talking about that today. Obviously, we're building up to the release of the new and final Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, which we'll be talking about in 2 weeks. So today we're going to talk about Mission Impossible. Next week on the podcast, we will be talking about season 2 of Andor. Mm-hmm. Then we will be talking about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning.
I'm really excited to go from MI1 to Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. I don't even know what number that is.
I was actually
9?
just trying to count
8?
it in my head. I can't remember if it's 8 or 9.
I think it's maybe 9.
I think it's 9.
So many.
Because it was supposed to be 8 part 2, but I think it's 9.
They weren't going to call it 8 part 2.
Well, no, it was never going to be called 8 part 2. It was supposed to be Dead Reckoning part 2.
Oh, yes, they were going to be part 1.
Because the other one was technically called Dead Reckoning part 1, and now it's called The Final Reckoning because...
No movie has kept the part.
No one, cowards. Everyone's cowards. But we're talking about the first one today on the podcast. Let's just get right into it, shall we?
Let's get into this mission.
Let's talk about the mission that is impossible, Mission Impossible 1996. All right, we have rewatched the Mission Impossible from 1996. Neither of us for the first time.
Not even close to the first time.
Yeah, so we have seen this many times, but on this rewatch, Diana, start with the usual, the simple question. Did you like it?
Oh, I really liked it. It might even be a love. I actually hadn't seen it in quite a while. I watched this a lot as a kid for some reason, even though I'm like, what did this appeal to as child, Diana? But I watched it a lot as a kid, and this is the first time I think as like an adult I watched it. And I got a lot more of it. The Job thing never made sense to me because I didn't know enough about the Bible as a child, so this was really fun for me. Of like, oh, Job is not the word job. Huge connections being made in my later years as I learned more about religion. I don't know. But it's a great movie. It's a true spy thriller. It is crazy how little action there is. Like, it's tense and stuff happens, but there's no shootouts, there's no fights. It's really cool. We can talk about that more. But it's just like, it's so well made. It's just the whole time you're just on the edge of your seat and you're like, this is interesting and this is interesting. And the plot's convoluted as hell, but you're still like, I'm having so much fun. We're doing a heist. We're on a helicopter. This woman who plays Max is fucking crushing my bones with how cool she is. And Tom Cruise is just a little baby face. These don't seem like high enough compliments, but it all just works. It's really fun to watch. It's just a good movie. Babe, it's just good.
It's just good?
Andrew, did you like Mission Impossible?
It's just good.
It's just good, right?
It's just good. I'm with you. I really like this. It's borderline love. I think it's a fantastic movie. It's well done. It's a great thriller. It's a great spy thriller. It's so funny how like what the perception of this was at the time versus what the perception of it is now. Like at the time, people treated this like it was Inception. Like people people were like, this is nonsense. No movie has ever been more complicated. And I'm watching
there was 2 masks.
Yeah, and watching it today, I'm like, there was 2 masks and a single plot twist. This might be one of the most fastball, just straightforward spy thrillers that you could imagine.
And the plot twist is like told to you halfway through.
Yeah.
It's not a third act plot twist. Tom Cruise is like, no, I got it.
Yeah. And there's a couple clever things that are a little bit unconventional with how they deliver that information that does assume some intelligence from the audience, which I do think that, like, even now, it's like you got to assume some intelligence. But at the time, it was like, I talked to so many people who were like, this is incomprehensible. I'm like, no, it's pretty chill. It's pretty chill. So we will kind of unpack that more of the, like, then versus now perception of this movie. But yeah, I love it. I think it's really great. It's really well made. It's visually interesting as well. It's dynamic. The pacing is strong and confident, and it moves at a good clip. I pretty much love everything about this.
It's really fun. The fact that it's a spy movie, but it's also a heist movie, but it's also an action movie. Like, I see why in 1996 they were like, you can't be 3 things. It's so convoluted.
Some people were mad about this movie.
They shouldn't have been.
But
it slaps.
I like it. I think it slaps.
It's held up to the test of time.
Yeah. So this works. We both like it.
Love that for us. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have a lot of fun. So yeah, do we start with like the Tom Cruise timeline of it all, or I like what you were saying about the perception in 1996 though.
Well, let's go back to the perception. Let's start with the Tom Cruise of it all, because that was what struck you, I would say, seconds into the film.
Seconds into the film, he takes off like he's wearing a mask, and so that like
the classic mask reveal.
So that like makes your face wider, and then he takes the mask off, and there's just a tiny little bean of a man in there, and he looks so wildly young to me. And then like I was like, wow, he must have been so early. And then it came up that he was a producer, and I was like, had he done Top Gun yet? And you're like, he did Top Gun a decade before this movie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Grant, he does look really young. But yes, when he showed up on screen, Diana asked, had he done any movies yet? And I was like, well, he was, I think, nominated for Academy Awards at this point. Like, Jerry Maguire is the same year. He had done Top Gun. He had done Rain Man. He had done Risky Business.
He had done Cocktail. Well, I thought he had done like Cocktail and Risky Business, like the like non-action-y charming movies.
Those were like the real early.
Oh, this must have been his first like action movie, but like to find out he'd already done Top Gun is crazy, because he seems so much, maybe it's because he was like more muscly in Top Gun. He just seems like he's way older in that movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe he had like longer hair. Because the haircut is way shorter in this. I don't know if that skews to makes him look younger. What does it? But yeah, he looks like a baby to me.
He'd also done Days of Thunder as well, which was
saw that.
Okay. Well, it was a quite popular film. That was like 6 years earlier. Yeah,
that's crazy.
He'd been working for over a decade.
No, he's a producer on this movie. He must have been. Like, Brian De Palma didn't need Tom Cruise. He was Brian De Palma, the director of this film.
Yep.
So, craziness.
Yeah, he was the Untouchables, Carrie, Brian De Palma, famous director Brian De Palma. Yeah.
So, just incredible when the credits come up and you're like, he's a producer, but he's like 15 years old. He wasn't.
Yeah. And took the hit of I'm foregoing my pay to take a back end cut as a producer, which is a brilliant decision on his
paid
part.
Off from what I read.
As you look through these films in Tom Cruise's career, yeah, probably the right call. But he was a guy who was in Rain Man. Like, Top Gun was kind of action-y. That was kind of a popcorn movie, but like, he was in a romantic comedy this same year. He's the guy from Cocktail and Risky Business. So I could see why it was like, oh, are we going to take a chance on you as like an action star? And him to be like, I'm waiving my money and this is going to make so much.
And they're like, oh, we'll definitely take a chance on you if you're going to waive your money.
It's a reverse Schwarzenegger. It's like the story how like Schwarzenegger, the most money that he made was off of the movie Twins.
Oh, yes, because it's the only one he was the producer on. Yeah.
No one wanted him to do comedy. They're like, you're an action star. We're going to give you a couple million. Shut up. And that was the only one where he was like, I'm going to waive my money and take money off the back end. And it made him the more money than the Terminator films.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
The industry's wild.
Producer. Get the producer credit. If you have any power, get the producer credit. For the love of God. You make more money that way.
Now, we produce podcasts. How are we doing?
Medium.
I'll take medium.
Medium's fine, but there's no if we stop if we stop this tomorrow, we don't make next month's rent.
No,
like
that's
we're
fair.
in trouble immediately. There's no
sure
no twins money coming in.
Are you sure that's medium good?
We're doing
Low medium.
we're surviving.
Ooh, we
are surviving.
We're here.
We're here.
We're here. You can't-
and we're going to keep going.
This is the real Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Being a podcaster.
But he does look quite young in this, to get back to Tom Cruise.
Wildly young.
He looks wildly young.
And another point about like kind of a not so much a misconception, but I think a very bold early thing to do that this movie does that I think must have really thrown audiences is killing Emilio Estevez right off the top, which I think is crazy. He'd already done Young Guns. He'd done 2 Mighty Ducks movies. Like, he was a star.
Yeah.
So you walk into this movie and you must think, oh, Tom Cruise and Emilio Estevez in an action movie. That's going to be fun. So wildly bold to kill the first guy like 10 minutes in to be Emilio Estevez.
Absolutely.
Must have just blown people away, like killing the main character in Psycho back in the 50s.
Yeah. I understand that. Yeah, it's a very bold choice, and it does kind of shock you and leave you all messed up.
Especially because he gets like a horror movie death. He gets that big pipe through the face.
He is the only one that does get a horror movie death. It is weird.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we like that you're here, but also we don't like you? I don't, I don't know how to take that.
I don't know.
There's other ways to kill people with an elevator that aren't that graphic.
I agree. And weirdly, I think that and this is just kind of conjecture. I almost feel like this hurt Emilio Estevez's career.
Oh, because it looked like he took a bit part?
Yeah, and I actually feel like he didn't quite recover after this. Like, he was a star and did this kind of, what I would say, stunt casting now, to be like, hey, I'm in a bit part and I'm murdered, isn't that cool? And I feel like it actually kind of left a bit of a stink on him, where people were like, oh, you were in that movie and they cut you out? What happened there? Like, it feels like it actually hurt his career.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah, I'd have to look closer at his IMDb, because I think after this he did like more Ducks. I don't know when he did those like spoofy parody movies with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
That were kind of fun.
Yeah.
Might have been before this.
I think that might have been before. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it might have hurt his career. But cool. It's a cool moment in the movie.
It's a cool moment, and it's such a bold choice that I'm going to have the second biggest actor in this movie killed 10 minutes in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do also think that that's why Tom Cruise looks so young into this, is that they're clearly they're playing into his youthfulness to be like, this is the baby of the bunch. This is the baby of the crew, who kind of gets away more like partially on luck and chance and becomes kind of the new hero of this crew, you know? But one thing that's interesting kind of going back and seeing, like looking at old press for this, and even some things that I remember, because I was quite young, but I do remember things coming out about this. And I even remember like my father being mad about this. There was there was a lot of controversy about this movie. People were frankly, a lot of people were furious and thought it disrespected the legacy of the television show, and were mad that it wasn't in the same style, even though the television show was, I think, 20 to 30 years prior. Like, it'd been a little while.
Yeah, this wasn't like a right on the heels kind of thing. It was like a 60s show, I think.
And I think part of it is Jon Voight playing the same character, or you know, being a recasting of the original character who is now corrupt. So it does taint the legacy of what was a lead character hero. And they invited those actors to come back, and all those actors said no. And a lot of them said, like, this was insulting and a travesty. Like, people, like, the original cast were furious, and fans of the original were very mad about this movie.
I can totally understand the Jon Voight's character thing. That does feel like a betrayal. Like, if that's a character who was on the show the whole time, was a good guy the whole time, and then you've turned him into a bad guy, that's a very, like, to me, that's a very, like, Hydra Steven Rogers from the comics. And we were all like, boo, we don't like Hydra Steve. This is a betrayal of who Steve Rogers is. So that I actually totally get. The tonal shift, I'm just like, you know, it's a movie, times change, it's been 30 years. That I actually think you should just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Movies
Styles
are different than TV, styles change. It's really good, it's well done. But I totally understand the betrayal of, like, this character I loved is bad now. That would ruin the fun for me.
I get to a certain degree.
I wouldn't be able to forgive that either, to be totally honest. Knowing how much I get attached to characters.
That is interesting. See, I think that there is something that's very bold about doing that for this script that I do kind of respect and like. I said, I think it is very of the time as well, of like, they kind of do with the character of Jim Phelps in this, played by Jon Voight, they kind of do what Daniel Craig's Bond does. This, like, I've been disregarded. I'm a relic of the Cold War. What do I even have to do anymore? And I think it's very bold and smart to do that from the 60s to the 90s. And I think it's something that maybe people weren't quite ready for, to be like, no, we still treat military heroes really good, don't we? And it's like they weren't ready for that conversation maybe as a general public, but I think it's very clever. But I do see, if you have an attachment to the character, why that would hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I don't really know if I agree that that's clever. I mean, maybe if he hadn't killed his whole team in cold blood and he was just like, I want money.
Yeah.
If he was just in it for money and not doing murders.
Just trying to get away with money without killing the team.
Yeah, if he was like, just like I was like the mole and I faked my own death and I stole a bunch of money. That's totally cool.
Okay.
Killing many people who trusted you. No, that's just a bad guy.
You heard it here first. Faking your own death and getting away with money is cool.
Faking, I think that's cool.
It's not bad.
I think that's some real, who was the guy in the plane who jumped out with the
D.B. Cooper?
D.B. Cooper shit.
The D.B. Cooper.
Not that he faked his death, unless
he did.
But he jumped out of a plane, and that was cool.
We're rooting for you, DB, wherever you are.
I hope you're out there spending your old money.
Yeah.
Can I pay with a really old 50?
Love it. Do it, DB.
I will say, I mean, if we're talking about legacies being tarnished, I do find this movie slightly hard to watch at times, because every time Jon Voight comes on screen, all I can think of is, what about this boner? That's really
the Megalopolis line.
Guys, if you haven't seen Megalopolis, don't. We did for the Patreon, I believe. It was a Patreon episode.
Yeah, the patrons voted for it.
Thanks, patrons. Jon Voight just has this line where he's pretending to be senile, and he's just like, "Look at this boner," and it's kind of a pivotal scene.
Yeah, pretending to be senile.
The character is.
Yeah. All of it. Yeah, there's multiple layers to that film.
I'm understanding the film correctly.
Think of this boner.
But anyway, it's literally all I can think when I see him on screen now, even when I watch Mission Impossible, the very good spy thriller. I'm like, you know what you're going to do later? You're going to have a line about boner.
I just kind of think about how he's a general garbage man now.
There's that too, but I like that I immediately go to boner.
Think of boner. Boner is the more playful way to dislike Jon Voight. For all the things that one could dislike Jon Voight for, I like that you're like, I can't get that line read out of my head. That's a playful reason to dislike Jon Voight. I think that's kind of a win.
It's a playful reason, but it also gave me like a visceral, like I don't have to remember if I like Jon Voight or not. There's so many celebrities that it's getting hard to remember which ones are trash men and which ones have been canceled. So now I have an immediate, like, the boner thing is because, we don't like them, so it's fine. I can laugh at this.
See, I feel like I easily remember that Jon Voight is a garbage man. And one thing that I do like is that respect to this movie is that sometimes you can channel the power of garbage man. And I realized watching this movie, I was like, oh yeah, Hollywood's been telling us that he sucks for 30 years. And I'm just thinking about all the roles that I remember Jon Voight in. And it's like anytime there's been a script for a movie where like a director is talking to the casting director and it's like, so we need someone for this role that when he comes in, you're like, fuck this guy. And then the casting director's like, I'm going to get Jon Voight's agent on the phone. He is perennially?
Ooh,
I cannot pronounce that word, but he is frequently the guy where anytime you're like, fuck, he plays that role really well, and it seems like it's because he has been living that reaction to every room he's ever entered his entire life.
What do you think of automatically when you think of Jon Voight movies? Like, what's your go-to in your head?
Weirdly, I'm like Anaconda, National Treasure.
See, I go National Treasure, so I don't have the oh fuck response. I'm like, that's just Ben Gates' dad.
Okay.
And those movies I love.
Oh, very interesting.
I'd like to have a more visceral. Well, now I have boner.
Now you have boner.
So it's real. That's usurped National Treasure.
You know what? You're right. Boner does deserve to usurp National Treasure.
It's usurped my view of Jon Voight.
But yeah, good casting for a trashy man. For a trashy man who you shouldn't like. So I do enjoy that about it. And we've got baby boy Tom Cruise. The other thing that I find kind of wild, just a last beat on the kind of reaction at the time towards this movie as well, of people who were fans of the original series, is that the original cast and fans of the original series were mad because they were like, this isn't an intellectual thriller anymore. There's no spycraft. It's just a mindless action movie. That was a thing people legitimately believed. About this, the only film in the franchise where Tom Cruise doesn't use a gun.
No fights. I mean, there are action sequences. It is a very weird...
It's set-piece action sequences.
There are set-piece action sequences, but he literally never has a punch thrown. He doesn't punch a single person, and he doesn't shoot a gun. What he does is he, chases people around in the first scene while all of his team's getting killed. He blows up some glass to get away from Kittredge. He does the heist, where he purposely is we're not killing anyone or hurting anyone. So the heist is super cool. It's very nonviolent. And then he technically blows up that helicopter, but he really just attaches it to a train. It's not violent the way he does it.
Yeah.
So there's literally no physical violence, even though there's so much action.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's cool. It's cool.
It's cool. It's tense, smart action. It's just big, cool set pieces.
Yeah, it's him finding a way it's very almost Dr. Whovian of being we're going to find a way without violence.
Oh, that's a very interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
Because most of the people he's trying to get away from are good guys who genuinely think he's betrayed the Mission Impossible.
Yes.
The IMF, I guess.
Yeah, the IMF. The
IMF.
Impossible Mission Force.
Yeah. So Kittredge genuinely thinks he's a bad guy. He's not.
Yeah.
Kittredge isn't just an asshole who's trying to frame him or anything. So the fact that he's we're not killing agents, we're gonna do this non-lethal everything is actually cool. I think that's so much harder than just shooting a gun.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Not that he does that much spy stuff, though, I will say. I actually feel maybe what people didn't like, if I'm going to guess, is that a lot of this movie, which is weird for 1996, is hacking. A lot of this is look at our Google Glass, our glasses that take videos, which is crazy in this time. This computer can jam a signal. We're going to talk to people on the internet through email. And that's spy work, just sending a couple emails.
I'm trying to upload a file on the train. Oh no, the train Wi-Fi's down. That's spy work. That's spy work.
That's spy work.
That's all you need for spy work. Yeah.
So it's very different from 1960, where computers there was computers, but there was not internet.
Yeah.
And computers were kind of a fictional thing that we were just starting to have, I think. But by 96, it's no, we have hackers. Although the depiction of the internet is so fucking funny.
Oh my God. When he's is there anything on the internet called job.com? And there was no, and the search results were nah, we can't even point you anywhere close to anything for the word job.com.
I can't emphasize enough how much Job and job are spelt the same. And the internet, if the internet exists, there's job listings. It was one of the first things.
Job. No search results for job.
No search results. How many for Bible? 136.
Yeah, no jobs on the internet.
No jobs on the internet, but there's 136 Usenet groups of the Bible.
Whatever Usenet. Max.com also was not a website, and it couldn't find anyone named Max.
On the entire internet!
Yeah. And then he also searched AOL keyword Max to see if that was how you could get to a website for Max.
That's how he found an international arms dealer who no one knew the face of.
Ooh. I love it. I absolutely love it.
I did appreciate that he didn't just send one email, though.
Yeah, that they showed him doing it all night or whatever.
Through the night. He's sending the same email to hundreds and hundreds of Bible sites. I did appreciate that they were just when people guess a password, that's always bullshit.
Yeah.
But so he didn't want and done it.
Yep.
But but also watching Luther just hack, and he's send jamming signal is the hacking.
Just using full sentences to tell your computer what you want it to do. Send jamming signals. Start jamming package.
We can't do that today.
Oh my God. It's very good.
It's very good. I love seeing old depictions of the internet.
It's really good. Just beautiful old stuff. But there is some I would say more Jason Bourne spycrafty stuff here that's just clever stuff, the cracking the light bulbs and laying it in the hallway in front of the place.
I never know if that's spy stuff. To me, spy stuff is always actual spying, but I guess not getting spied on is also spy stuff.
Protecting yourself is spy stuff. A booby trap of some sort, an alarm. I would consider that kind of a form of spycraft as well.
I like how intelligently this movie treats the audience, which I think you pointed out before, of like, at no point does he say aloud, I've got to crush a light bulb so no one can sneak up on me. It's just very quickly done, and you just have to understand as he hears the cracking of the glass that that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
As someone approaches the room.
Yeah. And boy, he does a great job of playing sleep-deprived paranoid in that scene where he's just like pointing a gun, just going like eyes unblinking, like, what? Why are you here?
Sleep deprived.
I saw you explode.
Just got woken up from a weird dream. That's a double down.
Double down.
Of weird dream, sleep deprived.
Very good. Very good stuff, the way he plays that.
I mean, since we're on slightly hacking, I will say it's so good to see Ving Rhames. He's like the anti-Jon Voight. If you say, oh, fuck, every time Jon Voight walks in a room, when Ving Rhames walks in, I'm like, yeah.
Like, oh, fuck.
Or a different, fuck with a different cadence.
Oh, fuck with a different tonality. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm with you there on Ving.
Oh, my God. From day one, he's just been charming and wonderful and has this great, like, moral compass where he's like, I'm a cool badass, but I'm not that bad.
Yeah.
But I'm not evil.
Yeah, there was no evidence I hacked the NSA, but that was a beautiful piece of work.
Wink.
Just really fun, really charismatic.
It's crazy to think from day one he's been the sole survivor. Like, literally no one on Tom Cruise's original team survives, good or bad. Like, it's just Tom Cruise. And that was a big team. There were 7 of them.
Yeah.
They're all dead. He meets Ving Rhames halfway through, and he's like, I guess it's just you and me now. We're the franchise.
We are the franchise.
And
it's
I don't
them.
think Ving Rhames gets enough credit for being the goddamn franchise.
I don't know. I think he does because he gets to keep coming back. Like, he's been an anchor. Yeah, he's been an anchor. Yeah.
But he just makes me feel good. And I love the counterintuitive casting of just this large black man as a hacker.
Playing against type, especially at the time as well.
Especially at the time.
Yeah. And him just being a pro who does the damn job. Like when Jean Reno, who was also phenomenal casting as well, to be like kind of slithery asshole spy.
Slither's a great word to describe him. He does slither.
Yeah. Of him being like, I've got the disc, so I'm going to take the money. And like they have this whole like the sleight of hand scene. And just Ving Rhames in the background, minding his own business, doing computer shit. And then Tom Cruise just turning around being like, hey, you minded your own business. Here's the actual thing. You hold on to this. Like, I love that that's what locks them in, of him being like, I really liked that you just stayed out of it and you do the work.
Yeah.
You do the work.
Yeah, the guy who doesn't want to be king should be king.
Yeah.
One of those kind of vibes of like, oh, you had no interest of where this disc ended up? You're going to hold on to this.
Hold on to this, please.
Hold on to this, please?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Ving Rhames, he's an absolute champion.
An absolute treasure. I can't believe he's made it to the end, if this is indeed the end of the reckoning.
We'll talk more about that in a couple of weeks, but let's take a quick break in today's episode of the podcast to thank our friends over at the DC Studios Showcase podcast. It is your inside source for the latest and greatest from DC Studios.
They are such a great podcast. On each episode, the team breaks down the latest news, dissects the most recent DC Studios content, and speaks to the must-read DC comics. So comics, movies, TV shows, whatever you need, they're going to break it down, talk about it, and also talk to the creators and artists who make it in really great in-depth interviews.
Some pretty cool guests. Pretty cool. They no slouches, let me tell you. They had Sean Gunn from Creature Commandos, Katie Sackhoff from the Watchmen animated movies. They've had James Adomian from the Harley Quinn animated series, and all those people you also know from so many other things, and they're just a delight to listen to.
They're a delight to listen to, and also just a small thing is happening in July, which is that the DC movie universe is rebooting, and you're going to want to check out the DC Studio Showcase podcast for all the news and interviews and everything about the new Superman movie. They're going to have James Gunn on. You know who James Gunn is. You listen to this.
Yep. If you're here, you know who James Gunn is. They'll be talking about the new Superman movie as and when it comes out. So it's fantastic. If you're a fan of this show, you're likely a fan of DC. And this podcast brings you exclusive insights and access you won't find anywhere else. So check out the podcast on the Max YouTube channel and listen to DC Studios Showcase on Max or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes come out every other Friday. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss an episode. That's DC Studios Showcase wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you, DC Studios Showcase, for your support. And now, back to Mission Impossible.
So we talked briefly about how there's no, like, fighting scenes, but there are action scenes. And here's another crazy thing that's bold about this movie and that I normally wouldn't like is that the two biggest set pieces have almost literally no dialogue, which is crazy because normally a big action movie, the set pieces are like banter, banter, banter. Here's the stakes. This is what's going on. But the heist, they literally can't talk. Because there's like a little sound monitor, so they have to be completely silent. Ving Rhames is even like talking so quietly over the microphone to help them out. Like it's so silent. And then like the big helicopter crash, they have created so much wind on this train. There's not a single line of dialogue the whole time Tom Cruise is chasing after Jon Voight to get on the helicopter. And I just find that so bold to be like, yeah, we've got these big action set pieces. Tom Cruise is going to do the stunts and he will not be speaking the entire time through either of them.
That is true. It's bold. It's confident. I really like it.
It's very confident. And a thing I would usually hate, because I love banter.
You love banter.
I dies for banter.
Yeah. Yeah. But they add a reason for it and the tension works and like they play with silence, like incorporating it into kind of the necessity of the scene. Mm-hmm. I think that works really well. It's just very smartly done.
It's very smartly done. Yes. Silence in two different capacities. The silence of we're not allowed to make a sound and the silence of there's too much sound.
Yeah.
There's too much wind on this train.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't make a phone call. It would just be like, it would just be those sounds.
And also just playing it as like quiet, confident type of spycraft as well, which or action set pieces as well. It feels very nice. It feels very refreshing. I like it throughout. Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And the music works in this. I didn't realize that the first recomposition of the Mission Impossible theme was Danny Elfman. Are you fucking kidding me?
Danny Elfman just got his little fingies in every song ever written. Every good song.
Yeah. Elfman, you greasy hand little son of a bitch. You're slipping, sliding all around the industry. I didn't realize you were over here.
Your beautiful musical fingies are tinkling away at the keys on every song.
He is tinkling in here.
Yeah, I actually don't really know what the original sounds like.
Yeah, I would actually have to go back to...
Now that I've seen that it's like his version is just based on the original.
Yeah, I actually don't know what the television original is like.
Because there are also like such tiny touches of like the very end song just has a little Caribbean touch because they're sending him to Aruba for this next mission.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, lovely little detail.
Lovely detail. Lovely detail. First time you hear that variant in it, it works really well. Now, one thing that I do want to kind of touch on is we're talking about like the action and the set pieces and the thriller nature of this, of like he's on top of a train, he's on the windshield of a helicopter that's inside the tunnel, he's falling down, it's all quiet, it's tension. There's no gunplay. There's the explosion in the aquarium restaurant, a very specific set. But one thing about how there's not a lot of gunplay about this that I really like from this movie is that these are director's action scenes. Like these are set pieces. These are a lot of decisions made by the director. And as much as Tom Cruise is the star of the film, these aren't action scenes. These are the star of the movie is the director action scenes, where at any point I feel like Tom Cruise could be replaced by another actor in these set pieces, where it's like someone else could sell jumping out of the aquarium building that's completely filling with water. Someone else could sell their face getting blown around while on top of a train. These are director showcases and not actor showcases, but now this franchise has become so intertwined with Tom Cruise that even when he does quiet stunts like hanging off the side of a plane or doing a halo jump, and they are set pieces, but they're set pieces to showcase that he is an action star, and I kind of miss these as just being director's set pieces. Like, this is really nice and refreshing.
Yeah, this was a director who came in with a set piece, and it didn't need to be Tom Cruise. Yeah. Whereas Tom Cruise comes in now, and he's like, this is the stunt I'm going to do with a camera right in my face to show I did the stunt.
Yeah.
And the director is like part of it, because him and I think McQuarrie is the director. He works with on all of them now. I think he kind of just lets Tom Cruise do whatever he wants, though. I think there hasn't been like a definitive kind of style since Brad Bird, but Brad Bird's style was very just like fun and bantery. It wasn't like set piece kind of design.
Yeah.
And this movie really is like, no, this action scene is a giant restaurant with so much water in it that when it explodes, it's going to look like the Titanic sinking. And it's like, that's just cool visually.
Yeah.
You don't need Tom Cruise to be there. It's cool that he is there and that he does his own little jump out. But it's a director who came up with a cool visual sequence and didn't really work around Tom Cruise.
Yes, and credit to Tom Cruise, who does bring his own flavor to this. Like, there is stuff just like he hasn't quite mastered the Tom Cruise run yet. There's still a little bit of side to side movement as opposed to the perfect pump that he does now.
Because he runs so much when he's trying to save the team in the beginning, because he runs to each team member as they die. But it's not like they don't film it like the run's ready. This is the run time.
The run's not ready yet.
It's just a run.
But he does add a little bit of his own flavor to these action set pieces, where it's like these are Brian De Palma's set pieces. And Tom Cruise does add his flavor to it. So it's not, it's not like he's a nothing or nobody in these moments, but it is a director's piece and Tom adds a little.
Tom does add, I think. Oh, I was going to say I think the heist is kind of underrated for how difficult it is to like look graceful and powerful in that kind of rigging. Because that's Tom Cruise in the rigging the whole time. And he's got to be completely silent. He's got to walk kind of like a ballet dancer when he's like tiptoeing over the keyboards and like when he lands. But he has to look cool, but you also have to look like you're like just a flippy kind of acrobat.
Yeah, you have to look like you're cool, but also struggling a little.
Yeah.
Like to have two anchor points, even just the core strength of maintaining that kind of, like, that's not easy.
Yeah, when he gets dropped really far, because they leave him right close to the floor way longer than I remembered.
Yeah.
He was down there for a while. So I think I think Tom Cruise did bring a lot to the action sequences, but I think De Palma really like just beat it out, like what's going to be cool no matter who does it.
And even just like the setup and establishing of like setting up how secure the room is, little things like adding the bead of water from the cup then to set up the bead of sweat problem as well.
It's perfect filmmaking.
It's just perfect parallel, kind of like everything is working in conjunction. It works really well. And I do feel like that is something that this franchise has been missing, that we've discussed a couple times on this podcast, is that I really love that the first 4 Mission Impossible movies have wildly different stylistic directors. Like there is some similarity with J.J. Abrams and Brad Bird, but when you go from like De Palma in the first one to John Woo in the second one,
wildly different,
to J.J. Abrams in the third one, those are wildly different takes on this franchise, and some people will like some of those and hate other ones, but that's really fun. Like this could have been the franchise where everyone is a wildly different stylistic take on what are we doing here. And then Brad Bird, who I think made the best of anyone, but it is a refinement of what J.J. Abrams set up, and then it just kind of stuck in that gear going forward with a bunch of people doing, or with I think one person. Gun to my head, I wouldn't be able to tell you who directed any of these after Brad Bird.
I think his last name's McQuarrie, and I don't know his first name.
Something McQuarrie. It's just kind of pale imitations of Brad Bird's take, and there's been no originality or flavor in terms of directorial style since.
There's been a little bit, but I remember, I feel like the last couple, like at least like the one with Vanessa Ferguson, or Rebecca Ferguson, the first one she's in, we remembered like loving it, and then we rewatched it again, and we were like, oh, only the opera scene's really any good.
Yeah.
It's like the opera scene was so good that you leave the theater being like, that whole
like,
movie
oh,
was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The opera scene's the only like banger.
Yeah.
That had like a real style and flavor and idea behind it.
And it's like, and the style is just, what if we did this really well?
And that's cool.
And that's cool and it's great.
Good.
And I love that opera scene. But I wouldn't even say that the style is original. I would say that the style is, what if we did Brad Bird's Mission Impossible, but everyone was hyper competent and we did this scene perfectly. And they did, and that's great, but it's not original. It's not alienating. Like, no one who liked Ghost Protocol would watch that scene and be like, I don't like this, though.
They've changed too much. No, they would be like, oh, this is still the flavor I like.
Yeah.
And maybe it goes from vanilla to vanilla bean.
Yeah. Vanilla versus original vanilla, ketchup versus
French
ketchup.
vanilla.
Yeah, it's just alienate a little. Try something different.
Yeah, have some cow print or I can't think of any bubblegum.
Sure.
Other ice cream flavors.
Yeah.
But I agree. It was a very
De Palma is fucking grape nut. Like De Palma's out here doing some old man spy thriller bullshit. This is some grape nut flavored ice cream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I get that. Yeah, it used to be a very bold take every time. It was kind of like not quite the same, but like the way the Alien movies. all had different directors that were just a little bit of a different flavor. But the alien's always there, and Tom Cruise is just the alien of the Mission Impossible films.
We've all been saying it. The xenomorph of Mission Impossible
is Tom Cruise.
It is Tom Cruise.
He doesn't morph much. He looks the exact same all the time.
Yeah. That is true. That is true. One thing that I think that this movie does set up, that all of the films in the franchise do, which I do kind of like, which is the opening sequence that shows you clips of the movie you're about to watch. There's something about that where I'm like, that's a fucking weird choice. It feels like I really wish I've seen some of the original show. It feels like something a show would do. Like, I don't know. It feels so out of time. It's very strange, and I kind of love it.
It's very strange. Maybe the show did do it. That's a lot of editing for a 60s show to do every episode. But maybe, because the only other movie I can think that did it is, like, I think Spider-Man 2?
No, because that was a summary of Spider-Man 1. But there is a story told in those credits, but it's a summary of Spider-Man 1.
Okay, so that's not even the current movie you're watching. Because if you watch closely enough, you can just spoil the movie you're about to watch.
Yeah, and James Bond movies with their opening theme song will sometimes do like a pastiche that's kind of influenced by what's to come, where it'll be like James Bond is falling in sky, or there's shit like that where it's like, oh, then there's like a scene where like a shadow of James Bond explodes through a train, and later there's a train explosion, but it's very much an artist's interpretation of the events, whereas this is just a like, hey, this helicopter's going to blow up later.
Oh, okay. I'll stick around.
You're going to want to stick around for that, right?
Hey, John Voight's in more scenes.
Yeah, you're going to want to stick around for that. Just showing you scenes.
We don't think he sucks yet. Now, earlier, I think I should have brought this up earlier, because you were talking about how people thought this movie was too complex and too Inception-y. And I will actually say there are still some plot points, even having seen this movie about 10 times, that I'm unsure of. I don't know if Jon Voight was intentionally trying to frame Ethan or just never bothered to come up with a way to kill him. Because Jon Voight thought he was stealing the real list at the time.
Right.
When he was faking his death and killing the whole team. He thought that list was real. He didn't know it was fake. So he thought he was done and out. So I don't know why he would have to frame Ethan, but it helps a little bit, but also you could have just killed him. But there was no attempt to kill Ethan. If there was, he just avoided it somehow.
Well, the only thing that I can think was when he first calls the abort, were they all supposed to go back to the same vehicle?
Oh.
Because he calls the abort and Ethan overrides it and is like, no, you go follow him with the knock list. I'm going to go check. I'm going to go oversee and check in on Phelps. And so he disobeys the command. I can't remember what the next step in the abort sequence was. I know they're all supposed to meet at the safe house the next day, but if they were all supposed to be in the vehicle, then that would make some sense.
Ooh, because the surveillance girl gets blown up in the vehicle.
Yeah. And she is, I think, waiting for someone else to get in there. It's supposed to be at least his wife, who Ethan thinks he sees blow up, but doesn't. So I wonder if it was supposed to be other people in that vehicle. I can't quite remember.
But she also said that the reason she wasn't in the vehicle was because she was aborting. She was like, he said abort, so I walked away from the vehicle. Now, she's lying, but Ethan would be like, you're right, you were supposed to walk away from the vehicle if we aborted.
Interesting.
So I just don't know if they ever even tried to kill Ethan.
Well, I mean, if that was the case then as well, also the...
Oh, wait, they were framing him, though, by putting the money in his parents' account. So I think they were
was that a last-minute decision because he survived?
I mean, he'd only been alive for like an hour by that point. Kittredge said it in the aquarium restaurant.
You're right. Yeah.
So I think they were framing Ethan. I think he was framing Ethan the whole time.
Yeah.
All right, I've decided. He was framing Ethan the whole time.
Now, in that scenario as well, they did not have a murder plan for the other female agent that was with him.
That was
because they call off the abort, and she goes to follow the knock list, and then gets stabbed through the fence by Jean Reno, presumably, if Ethan's flashbacks are correct. But that means that, like, if they did abort, those two would have walked away together. Yeah, but who knows? Maybe they put money in her parents' account, too. Maybe it's a double setup.
Or they were just going to kill everyone at the safe house if anyone did abort.
Entirely possible.
Entirely possible. Yeah, they definitely were at least trying to kill Ethan, to frame Ethan. Okay, I feel confident now.
Yeah, okay.
I've put some pieces together as we talked it through.
That they were ready to frame Ethan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I think the one thing where this assumes some intelligence from the audience that is a little bit challenging in the moment is when Ethan meets up with Phelps, when Tom Cruise and Jon Voight, mid to late movie, kind of like end of the second act, meet up at that train station, I believe, in London. And they're having that conversation about what actually went down that night. Mm-hmm. And we're hearing Phelps kind of tell him this story of like, we've been set up. Kittredge is actually the mole, and he's the one who's selling the knock list, and blah, blah, blah. But we're seeing the flashbacks of Ethan put together what actually happened. And we're seeing Phelps shoot himself and do all of this. But so we're being told one thing while we are being expected as an audience to follow Tom Cruise's performance in understanding something else, while also following the directorial choice of giving us a flashback to an interpretation of actual events. And then even within that flashback, rewriting and revising it as Ethan is figuring and changing what his opinion on the events of that evening are. And that does require a good bit of faith in the audience, and on the first viewing is a little bit jarring to have visuals that do not match what is being spoken at the time, and in fact, and more so match what is being performed by the quiet character.
I completely agree. This is very bold, and it's a thing I think you can understand easily on multiple watches, but I think on a first watch, it is jarring, especially in 1996. I think what is especially hard about it is the fact that Ethan can't decide if Claire is evil or not. So even in his own head, as he's like, okay, yeah, so Phelps has been betraying me, definitely killed her. God, I just don't know if Claire's bad or not. Like, it really does make it very wishy-washy of like, well, are these actually what happened or not? Or are these just your guesses about what happened? And he is just guessing for a lot of it. But he's the main character, so we're going to trust him. But it's not very hard to follow, but it's really cool if you're following it. But I can absolutely watch it and being like, what's happening?
Yeah. Huh?
Did he see these things happen or not? Like, yeah.
Yeah. And then when you're seeing the flashback, you'll be like, the director is showing me what actually happened. And then it changes, and you're like, wait, I can't trust the director either?
Who do I trust?
Yeah.
You're now part of the Impossible Mission Force.
Yes.
It's very complicated to be a spy. You don't know. Yeah, it's a very, you don't know who to trust, even the director.
Yeah.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. It's an interesting take, but it does assume a lot. But that is the most challenging, as an audience member, that is the most challenging section of this movie.
It's the most challenging. I remember as a kid being very confused about the Jon Voight mask at the very end.
Okay.
I don't know why, because it seems very straightforward now that Ethan was just like, I'm just going to see if you actually are betraying me or not. It's a good way to find out. I think maybe just because there's no and there shouldn't be any setup of Ethan putting the mask on and talking about how he's going to do this. But yeah, I think maybe what threw me when I was a kid watching it is like, you're not Jon Voight, you're just a guy in a mask. And then we're going to prove Jon Voight's alive by taking a photo of him with these glasses. But you also just looked like him in a mask a second ago. So you could just
interesting.
Fake someone. You could have just taken a photo of yourself in the mask and been like, Jon Voight's alive.
That's very interesting.
So it's not quite the compelling evidence that Ethan is trying to present to me.
I think it also has audio. And also, they're like a couple train cars down and on the way. So that does help. That does help.
That helps. Yeah. It definitely puts Jon Voight in like a spiral of like, oh shit, they're coming. But if you're just going to go to court, it's also like, I could just be you in one of those cool masks.
That is also true. Yeah.
And also, 1996 mask work? Whoa!
100% practical.
100% practical.
Really good. Like Mission Impossible 2, I think it's not 100% practical, but it's very close. They have like one digital seam or something like that. Mission Impossible 2 might have the better reveal when it switches from Philip Seymour Hoffman. But this is really good.
This is really, amazing. Really and can we just talk about the brilliant just kind of device of having the character. So he's in the first opening scene, in the second scene where he wears a mask. I guess the cold open doesn't anything. He's like portraying a senator. Mm-hmm. So they just had Tom Cruise in the mask play the senator on TV.
Originally, yeah.
That is just so smart to make it look like a seamless match that they found. Yeah. Wildly intelligent.
And that is something that they in no way would do now.
No,
you know
what I mean? Absolutely
now
hire someone and just match it.
Yeah, they would just digitally match it up or whatever.
They would just have that person play both roles and then do a digital digital mask reveal. But yeah, for these the Jon Voight mask looks incredible.
Yes.
When that comes off Tom Cruise's face.
Like, I know there's a moment when it is Jon Voight pretending to be Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt in a Phelps mask, but then at some point it cuts and it is still, completely seamless.
Wildly seamless. Yeah. The mask work, the action pieces, this whole movie. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. Even like the way that it pulls off too is so iconic as well. Like the first one in particular, I actually feel like there's one of them that it doesn't come off the way they intended it to come off in that scene. And I think that one is the senator, where he goes to pull it off and it kind of like peels and it rips in his hand and it doesn't come off in one go. And I get the impression, I'm like, I don't know. I think it was meant to come off in one go in a cool reveal and it didn't, but you kept it. But the opening one with like the cold open where he's just kind of like a random Russian guy. It's just a great way. He pulls off a mask. Ethan Hunt pulls off a mask the way John Cena takes off a t-shirt.
Oh, that cool one-handed way?
It's that cool one-handed way where instead of pulling a mask off with both hands, he reaches over and under and pulls it off like that, like he wipes his own face, versus up and off. So it's something about like right hand over left side, and it makes a really cool action move.
Well, first he always does a down pull though, so you get a little bit of an eye droop.
Oh, the eye droop.
They always make sure there's a little bit of an eye droop where you can see mask, not skin, and then they pull it up. And that's oddly vital.
You gotta have the eye droop.
I think they don't have it in the senator pull, and that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
But the Russian reveal and the Jon Voight reveal definitely have a big eye droop, then you pull it up.
The eye droop is so key. I'm really glad you figured out the eye droop.
I did figure out the key to removing a fake mask.
It's the eye droop.
And then I think the last thing I want to talk about isn't even this movie specific, and I apologize if we've talked about it before, because we've covered all the Mission Impossibles, I think, except for 2 at this point. And that is like, I do find just the Mission Impossible, when you're given a mission, I find it very interesting that you can choose to accept the mission. That is just right off the top, like, you don't have to go to Aruba. if you're tired, if you're stressed,
you're not feeling it.
If you've got a wedding,
you got a sunburn.
And it's weird that the IMF is like, it should be voluntary to like be a spy. Like you shouldn't be like blackmailed into it or anything, but it's very weird to be like, this is going to blow up for 5 seconds. So we really hope you did say yes, because it's gone. It's
gone. And we don't know if you said yes.
We can't see you. But yeah, your mission, should you choose to accept it, always like throws me a little of like, you're not just like, here's your mission, go.
No, because they're not the military.
They're not the military.
Which is kind of gross that they are just kind of some shadowy paramilitary government organization.
They're with freelancers?
I think they try to explain it in some way in Ghost Protocol, where they're just like, the NSA oversees there's some hand wavy,
the UN, we're all involved.
They are technically an American group, but they're not the I forget exactly how it works or whatever. But yeah, you could just be like, nah, man, I don't feel like it.
I don't want to go to Aruba.
Nah, pass.
I guess you tell the flight attendant who gave you the little video?
Maybe.
This one was no good. I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah. That seems like a sweet gig.
The flight attendant who just gives you a mission?
Whoever the video person is. You know what I mean?
You just get to make the videos.
Oh, not even whoever delivers the videos. Like that early spycraft stuff where it's just like, you just got to ask someone if they want to see a movie from Ukraine. And they say yes or no, but we're giving you spy money. Plus, you're probably also still getting a paycheck from that airline.
She's definitely getting the airline.
You're getting that airline money, and you're getting spy money, and you didn't do that much. That's a pretty good day. You're double dipping.
You're double dipping, and also they make a point in this movie to tell you that these people do not make a lot of money. Jon Voight at some point says he makes like $42,000 a year.
Yeah. Which is like, come on, man.
I see why you're excited to stay at the Drake Hotel then.
Yeah.
They're not paying you. I guess when you're, freelance contractor.
Yeah, but also pension. I think your expenses are pretty low, as well. Like
you don't have rent, you don't have a house.
Yeah, you barely exist.
No family.
Yeah, and
no kids.
Everything's a write-off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I will say though, since you brought that up, another thing that is just great about the franchise is that you do get the missions in a different way every time. I think it does usually match the director, like you said. Like I think my favorite one is Ghost Protocols, and he answers the phone and they tell him, and he hangs up, and it's supposed to explode and it doesn't, so he has to like hit the side of the machine, and it's very brave Brad Bird. It's very his style of comedy.
Yeah.
But there's always a different way to get your mission.
It's Brad Bird of like undermining the beat with comedy, but also assuming that you as an audience know what the typical beats of a film are, where it's like assuming a certain level of cinematic understanding, adding that comedy. John Woo's being in a pair of Oakleys that 3D explode as you throw it at the camera. The most extra way. A helicopter throws Tom Cruise on a cliff, a pair of Oakleys that he puts on, and they explode while being thrown at the camera. That's the most John Woo-ass way of doing it. A million of these. Different directors doing different of these, please.
Tom Cruise, if you're done with Mission Impossible, let other directors and stars take over. Let's have different flavors. Let's do it.
Let someone go bananas over here.
I'm for it. I agree with you.
Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we so often are inclined to do.
Almost every week?
Almost, pretty much. I'm willing to bet every week. Ever since we introduced this segment of the podcast, probably around episode 50 to 80. Please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podcast Addict, YouTube, if you're into video podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Hit as many buttons as possible around our podcast. It'll say subscribe, it'll say like, it'll say share, all that stuff. It's a free way to support the podcast. It helps us move up rankings in different podcast chart algorithms and gets us recommended to new listeners, which is how we grow and subscribe and find new people to listen to our show. And then when people do find our show, a lot of times they will check and see, oh, is this a popular show? What's that little number next to their YouTube subscribe? Or what do the reviews say? So it makes it more likely people will actually give us a chance.
We just want a chance.
We just want a chance.
We just want a chance. Also, if you follow us on socials, we'd love if you share a post about the podcast. Another free way to support. We always got a post about what we're talking about.
We're always dropping posts. So do all that. And if you do have a little bit of money in your budget and want to support us monetarily, that is huge. That makes a difference. The Patreon page is how you would do that. And that's honestly how we keep this channel running. And we wouldn't be able to do it without it and without fans like you. So over on our Patreon page, you can subscribe at whatever is in your budget. That money goes directly to the creators, which is people like us, to help support creating that. And you'll get cool bonuses. You can get our webcomic early. You can get these episodes early and ad free. So none of the ads we read, none of the insert ads, just a breezy time. You can get it ad free by becoming one of our patrons, which is real nice.
100% talk from superheroes over on Patreon.
All of it all the time. And you can also get a bonus episode of this podcast every single month over on Patreon.
Yeah, if you want to hear us talk about John Voight's boner in Megalopolis, you can only do that on Patreon. You can
only do that
There's
on Patreon.
There's more than just us saying this about the boner. See?
There's other things.
There's a lot going on in that movie.
A haunting film.
But we do a new episode every single month over on the Patreon. There's so much more direct talk from superheroes available over there.
So head on over and check that out. That is available at our Patreon, which is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And thank you to all of our current and our future patrons.
Thank you so much, patrons.
And now, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change? So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Diana, what would you change?
I would mostly change stuff about Claire, John Voight's wife. I think nothing about this pretty much works. The actress has no chemistry with Emmanuelle Bert, has no chemistry with Tom Cruise. To be fair to her, I think she is predominantly French. Looking at her IMDb, she does mostly French language movies. But she's very pretty. I see why she's here. But she has no chemistry with John Voight. She has no chemistry with Ethan. She's also not given enough lines to even have chemistry. She's really just there to be pretty in a little pencil skirt during the heist and to do things like that. So she's not given any development for you to even wonder if she's going to turn on him or not. Like, she has so few scenes for you to be like, I wonder if she's in on it or if she really loves Ethan, because I'm not even sure if they fucked. It's made very unclear whether these two actually kissed or started a relationship.
I'm kind of cool with that. I kind of like that, but
I mean, it's messy in a way that I don't think is purposeful. It felt like they did because there are in the trailer and in the little this is what happens in the movie. They actually have a full-on kiss. And it felt like if he's a producer, I just feel like Tom Cruise was probably like, it probably looks bad on Ethan if he did sleep with her. Because like I know her husband's alive. I probably shouldn't have. Like, it just doesn't, it feels like it was removed not for plot reasons, but for Tom Cruise reasons. That they did have a relationship. So I just think it's messy. I don't think she has good chemistry. So I think her part, but I think she's like necessary because Ethan needs people on his team. So I'm really not even going to remove her. I mean, just working with what we have, I would make Kristen Scott Thomas this character. I think her and Ethan had great chemistry. Like when they're doing the initial heist, they have to like, pretend to be a couple in that alleyway. And she's an incredible actress. She has got way more chemistry with him. I would totally believe it so much more. So honestly, just a recasting and give her more lines and more of a sense of whether there's a betrayal here or not, or more of a relationship. And I forgot to give a longer shout out to Vanessa Redgrave as Max, who I think is delicious. I think she's so good in this movie. That's just me adding that at the end as I look at the IMDb list. So yeah, I'm just gonna recast Claire as Kristen Scott Thomas, and then Claire can just die. The girl who plays her. I think that's fine. And yeah, I think we're going to have more chemistry and have a lot more fun. Andrew, what would you change in Mission Impossible?
I agree with you on all that. And yeah, I'll just kind of piggyback off of that, really, because I think that, and I actually don't want to lay this on the actress, might be my one clarification there for Emmanuelle Bert. Who I agree she has no chemistry with Jon Voight, but also they're never even like in the same frame together as well, which is weird. And also the age difference is weird. It doesn't feel appropriate. So there's no chemistry there. But I won't put anything on her because literally no actress has ever had chemistry with Tom Cruise on film. It is very strange for a man who always has a romantic interest. None of them have ever worked. Like, literally ever. I'm going to say a 100% failure. Like, he was in Jerry Maguire that year, which is a romantic comedy. And I'd say the biggest romance of that movie was him being a father figure, and that in itself is romantic. He's never had any kind of sexual chemistry with anyone in any capacity successfully ever.
I would say he's never had, I agree, not sexual, but I think he can still have chemistry. Like, he has chemistry with Rebecca Ferguson, but those characters have never kissed
They have friendship chemistry. They have coworker chemistry.
And I think he also had chemistry with Michelle Monaghan. So, like,
I agree with that.
Actresses can be good enough to still at least make these scenes interesting.
They make it seem like they're having fun around him, but I'm never like, when are they going to fuck?
Yeah, no, I'm never wondering when they fuck.
Like, a James Bond movie is like, you're about to fuck. Daniel Craig's always like 10 minutes from fucking. Like, at any given moment, on and off screen. Like, it's always ready to pop off. And Tom Cruise doesn't have that. So I think that just needs to be removed completely, to be like, this is not James Bond. This is a very Americanized interpretation of what a James Bond franchise type thing could be, but we don't need the constant sexuality because Tom Cruise cannot sell it. He is not a sex bomb type of guy. He's someone who has friendship and work chemistry with people. And I say just lean into that. So I think remove the entire romantic subplot completely and just have a platonic dude going out for adventures. There should never be a romance in this series. It's never worked in this series or in Tom Cruise's entire career.
I think I can agree with this. And I'm going to point out again that Ghost Protocol is actually, I think, the only one where he doesn't have a love interest.
Doesn't he?
No.
I can't quite remember that.
Because his wife's dead and he's avenging her, but then she's not at the end. Michelle Monaghan.
Yeah.
And then it's mostly just him and Jeremy Renner have scenes. Because who was it? Paula
Patton?
Paula Patton is not his love interest. She's trying to get revenge for Sawyer from Lost.
Oh, right. She's got her own thing going on.
So she's just doing her own thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has no love interest in Ghost Protocol.
It works way better.
And that's the best movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the times he comes off as an alien who came to Earth, who has been told like what romance is and refuses to remove it from his movies. To be like, it's him trying to fulfill what he thinks an action star is, where he's just like, but in the James Bond movies they fuck. And it's like, but you don't have to, Tom. You produce this. You don't have to.
But I will.
So yeah, that's my big change, is remove the romantic subplot.
Interesting.
So I would do that, but I would like to piggyback because I really like your idea of swapping the female casting as well, because Kristen Scott Thomas does have more workplace friend chemistry with him, and she would do way better as the one who survives and carries through.
Yeah, they popped.
Yeah, they pop much more.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've done it.
We've done it. Well, that's it for this week, talking about Mission Impossible. Next week, we will be back, and we will be talking about Season 2 of Andor. And then the following week, we will be back talking about the new Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. And as well, pretty soon, I'm not sure when, but this month's Patreon exclusive will be on Sinners. So we're going to go check that out. We'll be talking about Sinners over on the Patreon exclusive at patreon.com/FromSuperheroes. So if you want exclusive episodes, go over there and check out our Patreon. And in the meantime, if you want to get a hold of us, you can find me online most places at Ivimey, Ivimey.
You can find me at Words of Diana.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes, and check out everything we create over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.